Hi, welcome back to Straight Line Persuasion. Let's move on to Module 2 now, which is the art of prospecting. And this is more of an introduction to the art of prospecting. We'll get into much greater detail later. Here we're going to lay the foundation for what it really means to prospect effectively and elegantly. See, this is one skill that really escapes or that people ignore, much to their own chagrin and their detriment, because what happens is if you don't prospect effectively, that doesn't mean just finding people who are interested, but even more importantly, weeding out the people who are not interested or who don't qualify for whatever it is you're offering. See, if you end up not prospecting effectively, number one, you're going to be desperate for people to speak to, so you'll have this sort of uncertainty in your tone, knowing that each person matters so much. And more importantly, you'll be pitching people, whatever it is, your ideas, your concepts, or a product, and these people won't truly be in the universe of your buyers. So after you're done, they don't buy from you or don't, sign up for whatever it is that, your vision or whatever it is, your idea. You'll start saying, geez, do I sound bad? Am I doing something wrong? When in fact, you're doing nothing wrong. You simply are talking to people who you shouldn't be talking to. So I want you to learn those lessons very carefully here. Focus on it, write the notes in your action book here to make sure that you really get this one, because this is going to set you up to have a much easier time of it down the road. Now, we're going to cover a couple of other things in this module too, some very important foundational aspects. One thing you'll see is something called an action threshold. And what that is, it's the point when someone actually says, yes, I'll do it. How do you get someone to that action threshold where they take a buying action? And you're going to learn the key elements that you have to accomplish to get them to the action threshold. You're going to learn the three things that you have to portray yourself through tonality and body language. Not so much your words, but your tonality, how you say the words. You're going to learn how to capture someone's attention and imagination virtually instantly, sometimes less than 1/24th of a second, and at the most, 4 seconds. You'll also learn some other key things about what holds people back from buying, what promotes people to buy. And again, it's at an introductory level, but I want to give you the basic building blocks here. So when we discuss it down the road here in Module 4 and 5 and 6, you're going to say, oh my God, I get it. And you'll start being able to connect all the dots. So I want you to go at this module, play full out with it. And remember, now you're learning a system. And the key with a system is that it allows you with a predictable set of actions to get basically the same result every single time. I see people without a system, they're like hamsters on a spinning wheel. They run and they run and they run and don't get anywhere fast. So if you haven't had success persuading before or selling or influencing, it's probably because you just didn't have a system. This is the most powerful and most effective system for persuading people that was ever invented. And, it wasn't just my work, just so you know. I had the straight line persuasion, which was my initial core, but I went through my own period where I literally went out and read every book, bought every DVD, listened to every single tape, and I really gleaned from the best and brightest minds in sales and influence, and I adopted that as part of my system, because that's what people do. They want to be successful, you model. So I want you to use my system here as your ultimate resource guide when you're looking to influence, and take this art of prospecting to heart. Because believe me, if you get this part right, everything else is going to seem very easy. So enjoy the module, take notes in your action book, and I'll see you soon. So let's talk now about sales. Let's start getting right into it with prospecting, okay? This is the first step to it. The first thing you have to realize when you're a prospector, okay, you're not trying to turn crap into gold. The biggest mistake salespeople make is they try to turn non-buyers into buyers, okay? Just look at it like this. As a prospector, they call prospecting like a gold prospector, right? When you see a guy in the movies and he's prospecting gold and he's got a pan, right? And he's in the water and he's throwing it through the water, right? Is he trying to turn the water into gold? He's going through gallons and gallons and hundreds and thousands of gallons of water looking for one nugget. You get that? You're not looking to take the water and make the water into gold. You're looking for the nugget. That's what prospecting is. If you go out there and look for, let's say, a room of 100 people, okay? Let's talk of 100 people, okay? Okay? You have people that are ready. You have people that are still shopping. They're not actually ready to make a decision yet. Okay, you have people that are just curious, kicking the tires. And you have people that are dragged someplace and they're never going to buy. Let's go through this for a second. Watch the numbers here. In any given room, okay, you're going to have, let's say, 30 people out of 100. 30 people who are ready to buy. And it could be 20 people depending on your industry or what you're doing. But there's a certain X number of people that are actually in the market for your product and they know they need it. These are people that are at a point where they say, you know, I'm stressed out. They know they got to take action. That's your best buyer. They're not quite laydowns, but they're pretty close. They know they want to buy. The next group are those that are still shopping, right? But they're motivated. They say, hey, you know, let's say it's a car, for instance. They walk in, they want to buy a new car. You know they can wait a little bit, but they got to make the decision sooner or later, okay? That's this group here. Let's say this is 30 people too. Next are the people that are just curious, the looky-loos, okay? They're kicking the tires. They have apathy about it. Like, I could buy today, I could buy tomorrow. One of these days I'll get around to it. That's your next group, right? And let's say those are 30 people too. Lastly, okay, last group, you have 10 people here that were dragged and that will never buy from you, okay? Now, depending on the situation, okay, what business that you're in, let's say you're in, for instance, credit repair. I know some of you are in credit repair. Who's in credit repair here? Great, you got a couple. Perfect. Let's say you're in credit repair, right? And you're giving a seminar. And you're in a seminar room and you're trying to get 50 people in a room and you're trying to figure out, who are the buyers in the room. In any given room like that, you're going to find 10 people that will never buy. They were just dragged there. Maybe their credit's not that bad. They have no need for your product, or it's bad, but they don't care. They're past the point where they even give a shit about it. Okay? That's the lowest group here. Okay? They don't care. Next up, the 30 people who are curious. Okay? They're not very good buyers, these people. They're there, but they're like, I don't know. I don't really care about my credit. Maybe I'll do it one day, maybe I won't. Okay? These people, again, not good. Okay? This group here, the next group up, which is these people that are still shopping, they're in power right now, okay? They're going to go out, they're going to get their credit fixed somewhere, somehow. They're going to do it, but maybe not today. Maybe they'll do it in 3 months from now, 6 months from now, whatever it might be. If you're selling cars, it might be that, they got to get a new car, but, they're looking around, they're shopping. They're going to get one soon, but not today. That's this group right here, okay? Good group. And lastly, you have the group on top, which are ready right now and they're stressed out about it. These are the people that know they have to make a decision quickly. Okay, what happens is this, and I see this when I go into companies, typically what I will do is I will listen to them on the phone or making presentations for like a couple of hours before I actually speak to them. And what I'll notice is that when they get one of these people on the phone, it might take them like an hour to close them, when it should take 5 minutes. They'll spend just as much time with this person as they will with this person. See, this person's a great buyer here. The person that's still shopping, but is not quite what's called the action threshold. And the action threshold means that when their doubts about why they should buy diminish to the point where they're below the necessity to buy right now. That's called your action threshold, when you will actually take action and buy a product. So what we're going to be doing with the straight line, by the way, is we're going to be learning how to A, lower their action threshold, and also raise up their needs for buying. We're going to actually show them why it makes more sense to buy now, and at the same time, we're going to reduce their barriers and what's holding them back. You're going to go in both directions at the same time, okay? So your buyers here, remember, your buyers are here, and your buyers are here. The numbers I hear are 20, 30. Okay, so 50% of the people are potential buyers. These people, they're a waste of your time. You want to qualify them out quickly. You want to be making presentations to people who have a shot of buying, not trying to twist somebody's arm into buying when they shouldn't. It's the biggest mistake that novice salespeople make. And then what happens is they get really crappy intelligence because of that. In other words, you go out, you're like, I don't get it. I sound really good and no one's buying. Well, they were never going to buy. And they say, geez, I'm so dejected. No one wants to buy today. No one wants my product. They never wanted it in the first place. You do not want to be making presentations to people who, A, do not really want your product, B, do not really need your product, and C, can't afford your product. Money. You're going to qualify. I'm going to show you how to qualify people out quickly for money if they can't afford it. You're like, well, I don't want to ask them because maybe they'll be lying. No. I'm going to show you a way you can actually find out if they can't afford your product. If they can't, don't waste your time or theirs. Maybe you'll send them somewhere else that's cheaper, that's not as good as your product, to do the right thing for your customer. You get the customer back one day. That's true selling. That's how you build a long-term relationship. But if you're out there right now, I'm sure some of you are doing this right now, you're pitching people that should not be pitched and wondering why you're not closing. They never would buy. So you got to ice these people out quickly and elegantly in the first couple of minutes of your prospecting call, okay? And you do it through questions, okay? Shame on you if you're a salesperson and you don't have a script that you're going from. It's the biggest mistake you can make as a salesperson. Now, there's an art I'm going to teach you right now in about 5 minutes of how to read from a script without sounding like you're reading from a script. Because if you sound like you're reading from a script, you're dead. You're not like, hello, Mr. Jones, it's Jordan Belfort. How are you today? Good. Reason for the... That's not what you do. I'm going to show you an art of tonality here, which is literally going to change your life. I promise you, it'll wake up something inside you. You're going to be shocked about how powerful tonality is. And you're going to learn to take a script. I'm going to show you how to write them specific. I'm going to give you a template, how to write a script for your industry, for everybody's industry. You're going to get a bulletproof way to write the perfect presentation, because most sales presentations suck. And I've seen, I go out to companies, what I do, they suck. They're awful. They're destructive. Okay? Most of them, they list benefit. Right up front, they slam the benefits up front, right? And guess what? They ain't buying anyway. People don't buy right away. You can tell people all the wonderful things about your product, all right? But there are other issues that stop them from buying that need to be uncovered, so you don't just throw your best stuff out there right away. You want to keep your powder dry. Write that down, please. You want to keep your powder dry. That's an old military saying about not firing off all your big ammo when you're 5 miles away from the enemy. Not that the client's your enemy or your prospect's the enemy, but the metaphor goes that you want to save your best stuff, your most effective stuff, for when it matters. And there's a certain give and take. Listen, this goes back to when we were 5 years old. And our mommies and our daddies said, don't take candy from strangers, or don't trust the salesman that comes to your door. We were fed limiting beliefs about buying and taking action, about being, making a decision and looking stupid, since we're this big. And those beliefs are in your head. They're in everyone's head. Now, some people like me, I'm what you call a buyer. I'm the easiest sell in the world. I really, who here is an easy sell? Most salespeople are, right? Some people are really tough nuts, okay? They just don't want to buy. Why? What does that really mean when someone's not a buyer? What it means is they have beliefs about buying stuff that there's something wrong with it. They're held back. They have these limiting beliefs about buying. So you might go out there and you say to someone, listen, my product is A, B, C, D. It's the best. It does all these wonderful things. And I'm this, I'm that, I'm great. I'm this greatest guy in the world. My company's ethical and honest. They stand behind the product. And everything is great. And they still don't buy. You're like, what the hell happened? I made the greatest presentation of my life. They love my product. Who's ever had this where you know that they liked you? Raise your hand if you've ever had a situation, right? We've had everyone, right? If you're not raising your hand, you're lying, okay? You've all had this, okay? Where you've made the greatest presentation. You knew they needed your product. They loved you. You had great rapport. They still didn't buy. What is that about? Why are they not buying? Guess what? It's beliefs that they have. And those people are your best customers because they won't buy from anybody else once you crack through them. And the straight line, what the straight line shows you is how to get through those people like that. Okay? Through language patterns that go after people's beliefs. Because what happens is this. I talked about action threshold, right? Someone's action threshold, right? This is perhaps the most important concept when it comes to influencing people. The action threshold, what it is, it's this unconscious unconscious set point that somebody has to taking action. At one point, they get motivated to take action. Human beings are not random creatures. We don't do things by accident. We do things for a reason. We always have positive intent with what we do. Now, that doesn't mean that we always do things that really empower us. Sometimes we make stupid, lousy decisions. But inside, we did it because we thought it was in our best interest. The action threshold represents this. It's the sum of all the pluses. He thinks the good things that will happen if he makes a decision to do something. The negative things, logically, that will happen if he makes a decision. So he'll buy something and say, well, it's too expensive, it'll cost me money, all this sort of stuff, right? These are the negatives that hold somebody back. Maybe the company won't stand behind their guarantee. What happens if I have problems? I don't know. Maybe my wife will get pissed. All these sort of things that hold people back before they take action. And then lastly, you have limiting buying beliefs. And this, I have the worst handwriting in the world, by the way, so just excuse me, okay? Almost barely legible, okay? So you have limiting buying beliefs. And what these are the voices in our head that just say, don't buy. For whatever reason, because of bad experiences we've had, we've been burnt before. See, human beings were always looking for patterns, right? When I walked through the door today, this door, I'd never been through this door before. But when I walked up to this door, I didn't say, now let me see. There's 2 slabs of wood. Looks like a door. I think it must be a door. I wonder what's on the other side. I hope I'm not going to walk off a cliff. Right? Sounds silly. But here's what happens. My brain, your brain, generalizes and creates patterns in the world. So I walked into it and said, it looks like a door. It must be a door, so I know it's safe on the other side of the door. And I walked through. If you don't think that every time that you're talking to someone and presenting them with an idea, they're doing exactly that, you're kidding yourself. You're kidding yourself. Every time you're trying to close someone, they're running that equation. They just don't realize it. They're running movies out. They're running videos in their head. Here's what happens if I make the decision to say yes, and here's what happens if I don't. Which one causes more pain? Which one gives me more pleasure? That's what's the heart of selling, is to get someone to a point so when they say yes, what's happened is, imagine a scale, right? You have a fulcrum in the middle, right? This is a scale, the worst artist in the world. This is your scale right here, okay? All the pluses are over here. All the minuses are over here, okay? And then what you have is the invisible force, which are the beliefs about buying. Now, if the person has lots of limiting beliefs about buying, this side of the scale, the negative side, this is the negative side here, is going to be a lot heavier. It's going to go down, okay? If the person has really generally good beliefs about buying, like I do, and some of you do, they're easy to close because all it takes is a little bit and the scale drops. When you're going through the straight line from open to close, what you're doing is this. It's very, very simple. As you're moving towards line, you're knocking out negatives, building up positives, and changing their beliefs about buying, all at the same time without them even knowing it. But only, please again, only do this ethically. Okay, do not do this unethically. Okay, because I know that can sound like, oh, ooh, it's very, and it's sneaky and subversive if you do it the wrong way. But if you do that with people and they really ought to be buying, are you doing them a service? Yes or no? Yes, you are. So if you run this pattern, a straight line pattern on somebody with any product at all, and what you've done is you've built up all the positive, you wiped out their negatives, they've admitted to themselves, they've said it to you, yeah, it's the greatest thing in the world, oh my God, there's no reason to buy, yes, I love you, I trust your company, and you've done all this stuff, and they've actually admitted to themselves, you get them to admit it themselves. Why wouldn't they buy? They're in a box. And what happens, then you run certain tonal patterns, and they close, and they start buying. You will close with a straight line anybody who is closable. You will close anybody who is closable. That is your goal, not 1% less with a straight line to close any human being that can be closed. And I urge you again, one more time I'll say it, do never close somebody who shouldn't be closed. Only do with people that need and that can be benefited by your product. Then you can run this pattern on them. Okay? Then you're doing them a service. And afterwards, they'll say, thank you, thank you, thank you. You'll get massive referrals from these people once you run this pattern. And you're only going to do it to empower people. Okay? Now, next slide here. Okay, the funnel. This is a great thing. I actually stole this from somebody else. I'll tell you, his name's Warren. I'm going to give him credit. His name's Warren Greshus. And I love this thing. I rented all these tapes. I wanted to see what everybody in the world was saying about selling. Because, lots of people have great ideas. I have my own theory on it. I want to know what everybody else was saying. And he came up with this thing, which, of course, is very simple. And we all know this. It's not genius or anything, but it's very powerful. I want to just click through the whole thing and show you exactly what this is. This is your sales funnel, okay? Now, here's the concept, and it's really powerful, okay? It's about working backwards to how much money you want to make, okay? Let's say you want to make $200,000 a year, and that's your goal, to make 200 grand, okay? And your average commission, your end, after you split it with the company, is $2,000, right? So if you say to a new salesperson, you're a manager trying to motivate a new salesperson, right? Set your goal, you got to just go out and make how do you get, I got to make a lot of dials. I got to make a lot, right? What you want to do is take that a lot and actually break it down into a very specific formula that they have and that you have. So if you're a salesperson, you want to get your a lot number. What's a lot for you? I got to make a lot of dials. I got to make a lot of cold calls. Well, what's that number? Here's how you find that number, and it's very, very simple and it's powerful because once you have this formula and you're not doing well and you have a slump, you can dissect it and see exactly what you're doing wrong. So let's go through this real quick. Your average sale and commission, $2 grand, okay? If you want to make $200,000 a year, you'd have to make how many sales a week? 2, right? That's 4,000 a week, 200 grand a year. We're rounding it off, okay? Now to do that, you have to actually get in front of 6 people. You have to get in front of them. Now, if you're selling on the phone, that means you have to get up 6 full-blown pitches to qualified people, right? That's your number, okay? If you make 6 pitches a week, you're going to get your 2. Now, in order to get 6 pitches, you have to have, let's say, 8 appointments, 8 set appointments, because people cancel. They don't show up. You get there, something happened, right? You need to have 8 appointments set on your calendar to get to your goal of $200,000. To do that, okay, you have to have connects, meaning you have to get on the phone with the actual decision maker 40 times per week to get to that point. 40 actual, not like, hello, is so-and-so there? No, that's different. That's a dial, okay? Okay, 40 connects. And lastly, the number of dials. And that is how many times you actually pick up the phone every single week and dial it. Now, in a 5-day week, that's what, 24 dials per day. So you know that if you make 24 dials per day, by hook or by crook, you're going to make $200,000 per year. It's a lot easier to visualize that than you say, I want to make $200,000. Okay? Now, here's the thing. Can you control this? Sales. You can't. Someone else has to say yes. Can you control interviews? No, you can't control that either. Can you control appointments? No. Can you control the number of connects? No. The only thing that you could control in your world, for sure, is dials or cold calls. It's the one element that's always within your control. So if you're a sales manager, you want to give someone a sheet. I'll give you the sheet before you leave. Then you can just copy it for yourself, okay, on your own letterhead. That actually shows you how to keep track of somebody else's production. And if you're a salesperson, just your own. Run this number for 90 days straight, your average number of sales, the average number of connects, interviews, the whole 9 yards, okay? And what happens is, if you fall into a slump, you can start saying, what's not working here? Are my dials too low? Oh, no, actually I'm making $130 a day. I'm doing great there. Am I getting enough connects? No, well, maybe my list is bad. Get it? You can identify what your problem is. Maybe you're not setting enough appointments. You say, well, maybe my qualifying rap is awful. I don't sound good on the phone. I'm not creating excitement, enthusiasm, right? It could be there. Interviews, sales, the whole 9. If you're not closing, something wrong with my closing strategy. Okay? It allows you to identify exactly what's going on in your world of sales. And again, the only thing that you control is dials, okay? That's your sales funnel. If you don't use this, I'm telling you, especially if you're a sales manager, it's the easiest way to keep control of your sales force. And if you're a new salesperson, it's also very powerful to see what area you need working. Okay? Next. Okay. 4 seconds. Okay? When you're speaking to somebody on the phone, you have 4 seconds, no more than 4 seconds to establish 3 things. And here's what they are. Number 1, that you're enthusiastic as hell. That's number 1. That has to come through instantly from the second they speak to you. Write that down, everybody. Enthusiastic as hell. Number 2, that you're sharp as a tack. You have 4 seconds. If you don't do this in 4 seconds, you're heavily behind the 8 ball. And number 3, a figure of authority. An authority figure. These 3 things must be accomplished in the first 4 seconds someone speaks to you. And what it all rolls up to is one simple fact. You're a person who can help them achieve your goals. That's it. Unless you've done that in 4 seconds, you're seriously behind the 8 ball. Seriously behind the 8 ball. And ultimately, what that really translates to even one step further is that you are a person that can help them take control of their lives. They can take control of their lives. People have the desire to gain control. When they're feeling out of control, they act. It's part of what your action threshold is all about. It's a point to get back in control of your life. When someone has credit that's screwed up, do they feel in control or out of control? Out of control, right? When somebody wants to buy a new car because their old car's a piece of crap and they drive down the street and people are looking at them, do they feel in control or out of control? Out of control. When somebody is looking to find an investment advisor, a stockbroker, a commodities broker, and they're looking to develop, some kind of path to have a secure financial future, do they feel in control or out of control? Out of control, right? They're looking to get in control by identifying someone that can meet a need, fill a need, help them achieve a goal. So your job as a salesperson is to help people achieve goals and gain control of their life. That's what you're doing. You have 4 seconds to make that, bam, that first impression that you're enthusiastic, sharp as a tack, and a figure of authority. A figure of authority. If in 15 or 20 seconds you don't have those 3 things, you're done. You should hang up the phone and move forward. Seriously. Okay, now the question is, how do you do that? Well, it's really, really simple on the phone and even more simple in person. In fact, in person, you have 1/24th of a second before you've been judged. 1/24th of a second and you've been judged by the way you look, by the way you carry yourself. It's called wrapping your package. I went to a seminar with some guy who's wacky, okay? And some of you know him. The guy's a maniac, but he's a great salesperson. And as much as wacky as the guy was, he taught me some really valuable things about the way you dress and becoming a figure of authority and certain about branding yourself. And I'll share that stuff with you a little bit later, okay? But in person, and this is, I've researched this, you have 1/24th of a second before someone has judged you. You've been dissected, you've been assessed, you've been reassessed, you've been packaged, you've been compartmentalized. They put you in a cubbyhole and you're fighting your way out from that point. So either you're here, you're doing great, now you gotta just screw it up, or you're at the bottom and you gotta claw your way out of a box. Okay? That's in person. Now, when you're on the phone, okay, do they see you? Can they see who you are when you're on the phone? Yes or no? Bingo. See, I know I'm in a room with salespeople. They know if you say, yeah, you're damn straight, they can see who you are. They know exactly. They got a mental image of you, whether it's accurate or inaccurate. Everybody thinks in pictures. And you have a couple of, in 4 seconds flat, they've made a mental picture of you. Let me tell you a funny story. I had to get a visa for Australia when I was going to Australia. So I asked my girlfriend, we lived together very close, we're going to get married, and I asked her to get me, go find one of these services that gets visas, right? She was like, okay, whatever, right? So she goes out and she does that, and she finds some company in Chicago somewhere, right? So, whatever, like a week and a half passes, and I'm like, what's going on my visa? Do you hear anything? She goes, oh, no, the guy's taking care of it. I'm like, what's his name? She says, Sergey. I'm like, oh, fuck. I'm like, and already I know. Now, I'm not saying, listen, I'm not prejudiced. I'm not. I'm just telling you this for the benefit of selling, okay? I heard his name was Sergey. I'm like, he's a foreigner. I don't like it already, okay? He doesn't speak my language. He's behind the 8 ball. There's something wrong. Now, I don't know. I know that's not the way it's supposed to be, and it's not, like, really nice. But this is about making money. It's about being effective, okay? I'm just telling you that the instant I heard his name, I was turned off. Then I'm like, all right, so now Sergey already has an uphill battle with me as his customer, right? So then I said, all right, let me call this Sergey, okay? So I'm just like, I just know, I know, all right? So I pick up the phone, I have a sinking feeling in my stomach about my visa, I dial the number, and I hear, hello? Done. Done. I'm like, he's a goddamn Russian. He's got a beard and a goatee. I can see he's got greasy black hair pulled back, okay? He's got speeds of sweat going down his thing. He's behind a cheap wooden desk in a hole somewhere. I had the whole picture. Now, am I right? Is that who he was or who he wasn't? I don't really know, okay? And I feel bad that my programming, since I was that big, and I come from a really good family where no one's prejudiced. I'm not prejudiced at all. At all. And I despise people who are prejudiced. But that being said, instantly, before I could even figure out why I felt a certain way, I was done with Sergey. Okay, and of course it turned out to be right, because Sergey started rambling inanely about something. I was like, you know what, bing, I hung up on Sergey, and that was it. Okay, I gave him his $100 application fee. I never heard from the guy again, because in the first second of the call, he didn't sound like what? Sharp as a tack, enthusiastic as hell, and a figure of authority. I knew it in a second. The moment they hear your voice, if you haven't accomplished these 3 things, I'm telling you, you're wasting your time. Shame on you. Okay? They make a picture of you, they've assessed you, they've cubbyholed you. They either A, that you're a figure of authority, that you're sharp as a tack, enthusiastic as hell. Boom. You're in, now it's like, ooh, this person can help me achieve my goal. Let me listen. Now, does that mean you're going to close the sale? No. But you've prepared yourself to close the sale. You've moved towards the line. Now remember, right? Here's the line. I'll draw it up here so we can still have this piece of paper. Here's your straight line. Here's the promised land. Here's your open, right? You pick up the phone and you qualify, right? Develop rapport, right? As you're qualifying. So if this is your boundaries here of where you let the sale go, on the bottom, on the top, right? The first 4 seconds, you're right here. Okay? In those 4 seconds, you need to be establishing that you're sharp as a tack, enthusiastic as hell, and a figure of authority. In those first 4 seconds, the first pop that comes out of your mouth, and you say, hey, John, it's Jordan Belfort. How you doing today? Right from there, you got to establish those 3 things, and you're going to do it with tonality. I'm going to show you in one paragraph through tonal patterns how you can say things that you never thought you were saying. Here's what happens. As I'm speaking to you, you're like, You are running an unconscious dialogue against my words. You hear what I say, and you're narrating my words. This is what you're doing right now as I speak to you. You're listening to what I say. You're either agreeing, disagreeing, hopefully agreeing, because most of this stuff is just basic truth. It's simple stuff. Right? And you're also narrating in your mind, making a moment. And the voice is going on and on and on. You're making connections about things that I'm saying, okay? What you need to learn to do is through tonal patterns to control somebody else's internal dialogue. so that they're thinking exactly what you want them to be thinking without you having to say a lot of words. Now, what's the most important thing in sales, really? Trust. If they don't trust you, they'll never buy from you. True or false? They got to trust you. Okay? Now, you can't say to a salesman, to a prospect, trust me, please, just trust me. Just trust me. They'll say, what the hell is this guy talking about? Okay? That's what a cheap, uneducated, subpar salesmen do. They try to sell with just simply emotion and hype. And they're like, just trust me, sir. Just trust me. The stock is going up. Well, just trust me. I'll fix your credit. Just trust me. Sign up for this subscription. It'll be just trust me. And we know better. And what happens is all those limiting buying beliefs, whoop, the antenna goes up and they rise up. And next thing you know, their action threshold is through the roof and you can't close people. By the way you talk, from the very beginning, the tonal patterns that you run, you're going to start lowering their action threshold right from the beginning. Because you establish three things that are crucial. Crucial to closing a sale. And number one, that the person that they're dealing with, you, are A, sharp as a tack, B, enthusiastic as hell. Now, let me just dissect this for 1 second. Why would they want to do business with somebody who's sharp as a tack? Okay? Well, because if it's about achieving their goals, who do you want working on your problem? The moron or the person who's sharp? Hello? They'll say, oh, if I come off too sharp, they're going to think I'm a sharpie. No, they want to do business with the one who's sharp. Don't kid yourself. They want to do business with the expert, the top guy, the top girl, top dog in the field. If they don't think you're sharp as a tack, you're wasting their time. Next, are you enthusiastic? Yeah. What does that mean? He must have something really, really great to offer me. That's why he's so enthusiastic. If you're not enthusiastic, what is it saying? My product sucks. My life sucks. I'm not a winner. The state that you're in, the emotional state, whether you're in a positive, pumped up, empowered state, which is a state of certainty and clarity, which is great for sales. Write this down. Certainty, clarity, and conviction. And you can add a couple more C's. Confidence, courage. Those are the most empowering states to be in as a salesperson. The most disempowering state is confusion, uncertainty, overwhelm, boredom. Those states will kill a salesperson. But these three things, okay, they have to be established instantly or you're behind the eight ball. And why should you be a figure of authority? This is perhaps the most important one. To become authority figure to somebody, to become the foremost expert, cuts into three things. Number one, we were taught since we're this big to listen to people who are in authority. People wear uniforms, policemen, firemen, security guards, okay? Many of them are not, licensed police officers yet. You put a badge on and a uniform, okay? And we just say, we do what they say, go here, we go there. We go left, we go left, right? That's what happens when we're with figures of authority. We listen to them and we follow. You want your customer, your prospect, to perceive you instantly as a figure of authority, so they'll start moving towards your way of thinking. If you come off as a novice and not an authority figure, they're like, great, let me speak to someone in charge. That's what they're thinking. Great, sounds good. Now put someone in charge on the phone, and I'll talk to them and get realistic about this stuff and get serious. So these three things have to be established immediately.
So how'd you enjoy Module 2? I bet you did. In fact, I think that, people that really go through the second module, they start to get a real sense of what this is all about empowering people to make decisions that they should make, to persuade people who are shut down from making those decisions and allow them to achieve their goals. That's what being a salesperson and an influencer is all about. And I think you saw here some very powerful things here in terms of your tonality and how you capture someone's attention very, very quickly. Remember, you need to be enthusiastic, and not because you're some crazy person, screaming, yelling from the rooftops, but because most people do not have that state of certainty, that state of clarity. And when you come in and sound enthusiastic and upbeat, you sort of wake up the force in them to listen further. Now, in terms of what actions you should take here, there's one very specific action that you have to take immediately. And that is, I want you to do what's called the allot chart. To find out exactly how many calls or how many letters you need to send out, how many initial contacts you need to make on a daily basis in order to meet your financial goal. And again, the importance of that is later down the road when you're immersed in this and you're kicking butt, you're going to also be able to identify what areas you can improve on. You'll start to see what bottlenecks occur in your own pipeline of success, and it will allow you to achieve your goals much, much quicker and with a lot more ease. And also, you're going to be able to help people who work for you, if you're a sales manager, to get them to start analyzing their results on a daily basis and taking the appropriate actions to ensure their success as well, which ultimately is your success. So again, let's move on to Module 3 now. But before you do, please make the notes in your workbook and take those actions, especially that allot chart. And remember, you sound enthusiastic, you have only a few seconds to do it, and then you set yourself up to influence down the road. Without that, you'll be fighting an uphill battle. And I'm here to help you fight a downhill battle because believe me, it's a lot easier.